Good afternoon, and this is Troy again from the West Coast Presbyterian Pastors Conference, and we are excited to welcome Mary Hulst to our conference this year. We just had a talk recently with Ian Proven to discuss his Bible talks for the sessions, and now we're going to talk to Mary about that as well. Now, Mary, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited about this.
We're really glad that you're with us. And in talking with Ian, he corrected me last week for suggesting that cold weather and snow might exist in Canada, of all places.
Yes.
I'm questioning everything I once knew.
I know.
Is there cold weather and snow in Grand Rapids?
Currently, no.
Oh, wow.
Because it's mid-March, but we always say spring kind of comes in waves. So we're experiencing the first false spring, as we call it. So it was 60 degrees the last 2 days, which we're always like, that's not going to last. Next week, it'll be 40. I think we may have flurries someday, but a lot of the snow has melted. So it's starting to feel like spring around here, which is fantastic.
Well, again, we're just excited to have you. We're sorry we can't get you out of Michigan to come to the Santa Cruz area this year, but nonetheless, thanks for playing along with us in this unique circumstance, and really a desire for our pastors to have continuing education in the midst of these unique circumstances. Tell us a little bit about your role there at Calvin. Your name came to us because people had seen you from our conference at other pastoral gatherings, like the Whitworth Institute of Ministry. So obviously pastoral ministry is close to your heart. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
It is. Yeah. I've been here at Calvin serving as the university pastor since 2009. But before that, I was a seminary professor. I taught preaching at Calvin Seminary. And before that, I was a pastor for 8 years of a church here in Grand Rapids. And so pastoral ministry is indeed dear to my heart, as is preaching, which I'll get to talk about with you.
That's wonderful. So yeah, just as we talked with Ian and his 4 sessions, we have you slated for 4 sessions as well, and kind of give our attendees a overview of your walkthrough each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and what you'd like to bring to our conference.
Yeah. So the first day, because we're all just kind of coming in together, I'm going to walk us through a bit of a preacher's retreat. And so that first hour together, I will encourage people to just close out all the other screens, all the other browsers, to get paper and a pen. And I'll just read some texts and ask some questions about, like, what are you bringing in? Where is your heart? This has been a year. And I don't think we can just jump into, like, here are some really practical things to talk about preaching without first kind of taking our own temperature. And so that'll be Monday. And I'm hoping that the questions that are used on Monday can be prompts for the breakout groups and the prayer times as the week unfolds. So that'll be Monday. And then Tuesday, we'll talk a bit about questions for better sermons. If you get stuck, if you're not quite sure, what is a good question to ask that can clarify our preaching, that can move us forward, that can get us unstuck? So we're looking at 5 questions for better sermons. And then the next day, we'll talk about preaching to the rising generations, which is something that I do all the time. And so what are we seeing from these millennials now and Gen Z, which is the population that I'm working with? And what are they listening for? And then give some really practical sermon ideas, sermon series, topics, texts. And then the last day, I'll be inviting folks to bring their texts. What are you working on? What are you preaching? Maybe some of you have to go back and preach on Sunday. And then we're going to workshop some of those texts together. So hopefully people head back into ministry with some sermon outlines, with some things that they can go ahead and flesh out for their own contexts.
Yeah, that's great. We're excited for that. We pastors have been through, again, like you mentioned earlier, a lot this year. And what kind of hopes do you have for the pastorate as we emerge from this reality and try to press forward into society has been greatly changed and challenged by the past year.
Mhm. Yeah, I think pastors who don't serve homogeneous congregations, which is a minority of us serve homogeneous congregations, they've really been beaten up over the last year, whether that was around race or politics or the pandemic and mask wearing and how do you preach and pray about these things publicly. And so it's my deep hope that our pastors have realized that they're not solo operators, that they need other people, that the call still exists, and that God can do good things in them even when they're really tired and weary and broken. And I think too, developing, if we haven't, really good habits around rest, Sabbath, restoration, renewal. I think all of us have realized this year, if we don't have those habits in place before a crisis will reveal that we need them. And so we may have turned in last year to poorer coping techniques, whether that's binging on TV or binging on chocolate or binging on alcohol or just, whatever. And so how is God inviting us to get healthier as we move forward? And then, how do we gather people back together? Yeah. And I think people are hungry to be together. I've heard pastors say, what if no one comes back? I haven't heard that from parishioners. I've heard, I can't wait. And so I think the Lord honors our faithfulness, even when we're weary and we haven't done everything right. And so I would hope that folks are getting healthier rhythms, realizing that they need that, and that they're eager to draw their congregations back together again.
Well, Mary, we really appreciate being part of the West Coast Presbyterian Pastors Conference for 2021, and look forward to you bringing these vital things to our attendees' ears and hearts and minds. And so look forward to seeing you, though in the same way, pretty soon, 8 days after Easter. Thank you so much.
Can't wait.